All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rachag Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of GMS who rule well, and also honor and salutations to those of you who are of the hopeful elect and are out there teaching the word of sincerity and truth. So today I wanted to talk about something really brief. I was reading in Ephesians this morning, and we're gonna take a test this afternoon on Ephesians. So that was my reasoning for reading it. But whenever I read, my mind, the scriptures take you, the spirit gets in you, and the scriptures take your mind to other places. And whenever I read something regarding the Israelite foreigners, as we know it, right, as the truth is, as far as Ephesians goes, Galatians, and all the scriptures that speak to the Israelite foreigners coming back into the fold. It always brings me to different arguments that we've had with people, here at camp. Um, we argue with some guy. So it looked like he was a courier for some service. He had one of those big bags on his back, and he was riding a bike. And we argued with him for a few minutes about this topic. And then I think of Vocab Malone, James White, the Edomite, and I think of all of these people that we have this argument with. And as it goes, they want to be a part of this thing, right? They want their Christian belief that they've followed their whole life to be true. They want it to be something that they can receive as well. And what they're finding out is the scriptures have never been for everybody. It was never all inclusive. It was never for all the nations. It was for one particular nation. And the reason why it sounds as though it's going to other nations is because that one particular nation was spread out, throughout, all the other nations. Matter of fact, let me go to that really quick. Pull up another one of these. I think it's James, the first chapter. So let me go here. James 1. So this is James 1:1. It says, James, a servant of the Most High and of the Lord Yahushua Hamashiach, to the 12 tribes which be scattered abroad. Greeting, right? So that particular nation was going to be spread out throughout all the nations. And that's why it sounds like, this is also going to them, but it's not. And the way you prove that is you have to, when you read, and I find this when I was reading this morning, is that you have to read with intent, right? And what I mean by that is, if you're reading just to get a bunch of words in your head so that you can, in this case, take a test, then you're not going to absorb anything that was being said, right? The key to truly learning what you're reading is to read it with intent, to listen to what you're reading. And so what I do as a technique, this is just me. I read very, very slowly and very purposely, and I try to pay attention to all, the punctuation that's being written, because it gives you a picture of what's being said, right? So as I was reading this morning, I was reading, let me see, I think I was in the third chapter. I got it pulled up here, Ephesians, the third chapter. And he says something here, and I'll start at 1. Why not? This is Ephesians 3:1. It says, for this cause I, Paul, the prisoner of Yahushua Hamashiach, for you Gentiles, if ye have heard of the dispensation of the grace of the Most High, which is given me to youward, how that by revelation he made known unto me the mystery, as I wrote afore in few words, whereby when ye read, ye may understand my knowledge in the mystery of Hamashiach. Right? So I was reading that this morning, and we know what mystery it is, because if you read down, he says it, right? It says, which in other ages was not made known unto the sons of men, as it is now revealed unto his holy apostles and prophets by the Spirit, that the Gentiles should be fellow heirs of the same body and partakers of his promise of Hamashiach by the gospel. So when you read it in the Bible, I have a Bible that sends you the different precepts. It'll mark certain parts of a verse in with a letter, and then you go to the center column and you find what other precepts relate to that topic that's being talked about. And when I was reading this, it brought me to Galatians 3:28, and I said, well, damn, that's one of those scriptures that is always being used when they want to say that the word and Christianity and the Lord came for everybody. They use Galatians 3:28. It'll say which says, matter of fact, let me just go to it. I'll use this one. Let's go to it real quick. I just pulled it up a little while ago, so it should be, yeah. So this is Galatians 3:28, right? It says this: there is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Yahushua Hamashiach, or Hamashiach Yahushua, right? So this is one of their go-to scriptures, and there's another one that says neither Jew nor Gentile, right? But what they don't understand is the words that Paul used here are very specific. They're very, very, very specific words that Paul used, and we've talked about. I was just excited to do this, but we've talked about this before. Now, I want to say that this is why the elder apostles, starting with Elder Apostle Tahar, and in particular, Elder Apostle Kabar, always says this, that words are our stock in trade, and there's power in looking up these words to see what things mean. Elder Apostle Ramla just did a show recently, talking. Not the topic wasn't I'm sorry, excuse me. The topic wasn't about this thing that I'm about to talk about, which is rape. But what he was saying is, if you would remove all your emotion from what's being said and just go and look into the words, you'll understand what's being said, and you'll understand what we're teaching. But people allow their emotions to get the best of them. But I'll say this again, that when you look up these words, it shows you clearly what's being talked about. But again, people, they're so wrapped up in their emotion and their emotional connection with what they've learned all their life, right? Because you might have had a guy, he might have been selling drugs and turned to Christianity and stopped selling drugs and changed his life around, got married, had kids, bought a house, the American dream, all because of he changed his life due to Christianity. So because of that, he has an emotional connection to the scriptures, right? See, I said selling drugs, but there's all different kinds of things. Let's say somebody was, I don't know, a drug user, methamphetamine and cocaine or whatever, and due to Christianity, this person changed their life and got a bite out of the apple of or piece of the American pie, so to speak, right? So they get emotionally attached to this Jesus. They get emotionally attached to this or a church that they might have gone to or they've become a member of, and they get attached to it, and they can't separate themselves from it. But all you have to do is remove those emotions and just look at it and learn it with intent, man, because the words are very specific. So I started thinking as I was coming back to the computer here, I thought of the word verbiage, right? So I looked it up, and it says this. It says speech or writing that uses too many words or excessively technical expressions, right? But the second definition is what I really want to look at, right? Which is this. It says the way in which something is expressed, wording, or diction, right? So it says this. It says we need to look at how the rules should be applied based on the verbiage, right? And we say the same thing for the scriptures. We need to look at who this applies to based on the verbiage, based on how it is said and what is being said, right? So if you go back to Galatians 3:28, right, it says there is neither Jew nor Greek, right? Now we always say this, right? At camp, we always say, so you can only be a Jew or a Greek in order to receive salvation, or to receive the one the world calls Jesus Christ, to receive Yahweh Shai, you only can be a Jew or a Greek. And their answer will be, well, no. All right, so why was he so specific in saying Jew nor Greek? Why didn't he say use a word that was more inclusive, right? Why didn't he use a word that was that embodied a definition that would mean everybody, regardless of where you were? Why is such a word so specific, right? So I looked it up. Let's do it again. You got this word Greek, right? So it goes back to the word Helen, right? Let's look it up. Okay. So if you go back to this word Helen, it says this. It says a Greek, either by nationality, whether a native of the mainland or of the Greek islands or colonies, right? Then the second definition says this. In a wider sense, the name embraces all nations not Jews that made the language, customs, and learning of the Greeks their own. The primary reference is to a difference of religion and worship. Now, this is off, and I'm gonna tell you why I say that, right? Because if you take Paul's conversation, right, and you say neither Jew nor Greek, and this is everybody who took the Greek customs and made it their own, that still is excluding the other people who didn't take Greek and make it their customs, right? Because when you look in secular history, right, in secular history, they will tell you that any land or people that Alexander conquered were considered to be Hellenized, right? They were considered to be to take on that Greek customs, but not everybody did that. Not every nation that he conquered took on being Greek. They still kept their culture and they still kept their ways, right? So what about them? Because Christianity says no matter what nationality you are, you can be saved. You can accept Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, right? That's what Christianity says. So this even in that, you're still excluding the people who didn't take on Greek as their customs. So what does the word really mean, right? Now I didn't pull it up. I should have, but when you go into the Zondervan or any compact Bible dictionary and you go to the word Greek, right, or the word Hellen or Hellenist, you'll find that it says Jews who made Greek their custom. So it's very specific, very specific to a certain type of people. And if you just look at the word, you understand that it's a very particular word, very precise word that's being used. Why? Because they were matter of fact, I'll do this. Did I read this one? Yeah. So let's do this, right? And we've done this before, right? When you go to Acts the second chapter and go down to us, I'll start at 5, and it says, and there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. So it was talking about a very specific people, but people they disregard all of the verbiage, if you will, regarding this topic, man. So going back, matter of fact, that's why I kept it open. I want to go back to that Ephesians, right? Because he talks about a mystery, right? He says, whereby when ye read, ye may understand my knowledge in the mystery of Hamashiach. So what is the mystery, right? What was this mystery that was being taught throughout the ages? And people are like, damn, I wonder what he's talking about here, right? Because when you go to it, right, when it references it, what it brings you to is let me see, what do I got open here? What's this? Oh, let's go here. Okay. Bear with me for a second. Right. Check this out. Right. So this is Romans 11:11. It says, I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? The Most High forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles for to provoke them to jealousy. Now, where did he get that from? Right? Paul was saying something here, right? Now, when you go to Deuteronomy, right, which is in the beginning of Israel's inception as a nation, right? When you go to the 21st verse of Deuteronomy 32, it says this. It says, they have moved me to jealousy, which that with that which is not the Most High, or that which is not the power. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. Now, we know at this point we are the Heavenly Father's people. We're his people, right? So when we get delivered out of Egypt, right? Moses didn't say let everybody go. He said let my people go, right? Free everyone. No, he said free my people, right? So wouldn't this beg the question, like, damn, what foolish nation? What foolish nation is he talking about that he's gonna use to provoke us to jealousy? And then when you get to the New Testament, or so-called, when you get to Romans, when you get to Ephesians and Galatians, when you get to all these things, Paul is telling you this was that mystery. This was the mystery. This was what plagued us all these years, and thought of what this nation would be, what this foolish nation would be. It would be our own nation going and practicing other customs. That's what it was. Okay. So when you go to I'll show you in Habakkuk as well, right? Habakkuk 1:5, it says this: behold, among the heathen, and regard and wonder. Let me read it again. I'm sorry. Behold ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously, for I will work a work in your days which ye will not believe, though it be told you. Right? So what did that mean? The ye among the heathen. What is he talking about? What work is he going to work? What is he going to do? Right? But check this out. Right? He explains it. Paul explains it again here in Acts. Right? Or is it? I mean, it may not be Paul. I mean, I may be too hasty in saying that. I forget who's speaking here. Let me try to find it. Bear with me for 1 minute here. I believe it's Paul, but I just want to. Just bear with me for a second, please. I just want to see who's speaking here because I said Paul so quickly. Yep, Paul. All right, so let me go down to 41. I want to read this to you. Okay, it says, this is Acts 13:41. It says, right. Actually, let me start at 40. It says, actually, let me, I'll start at 38. This is Acts 13:38. It says, be it known unto you, therefore, men and brethren, that through this man is preached unto you the forgiveness of sins. And by him, all that believe are justified from all things, from which ye could not be justified by the law of Moses. Beware, therefore, lest that come upon you which is spoken of in the prophets. So he's referencing something, right? He says this: behold, ye despisers, and wonder and perish, for I work a work in your days, a work which ye shall in no wise believe, though a man declare it unto you. You see? So he's referencing what it says in Habakkuk in regards to the Israelite foreigners coming back into the know, man. You see? So it's very simple when you pay attention and you read with intent and not with your emotion. My life was changed due to Christianity. So what they're saying can't be true. And then you look at these guys, right? You look at like for instance, the courier I was talking about, he came up and he was so aggravated. He already knew who he was. He tried to come in a way where he acted like he didn't know who he was or what we was about. But then he was so fired up in his emotions, he couldn't even operate. He couldn't even function. You see? This word belongs to the nation of Israel. It belongs to us, the so-called Negroes and West Indians and Haitians and Puerto Ricans and Guatemalans and Panamanians and Brazilians and Chileans and so forth and so on, man. Uruguayans, and the list goes on. All the dark nations of the Western Hemisphere. Okay, this word belongs to us, man. So that's it, man. That's all I had. I was just excited to do that. One of those things I was reading, I thought of that. I was like, man, this thing is for us, man. This is for us. So with that, hopefully that was edifying. And until the next time, I say shalom.